All right, guys, we are bringing up the next. Well, I gotta figure out what happened there. All right, perfect. So we are about almost 3 o'clock. All right, perfect. Okay, it is 3 o'clock, and we are going to start with you're looking to buy a house, and you have been on a platform like realtor.com or Zillow or some other platform. Suddenly you're getting calls and you're wondering, what did I do to get all of these calls? How do they have my information? They will not stop calling me. They are relentless. And let's talk about why that happens, because I know that it happens a lot and I know that it can be very, very frustrating. So the first thing is why are you getting suddenly calls, texts, and emails from people that you have never ever met? And some of them might be nice and say, "Oh, you know what? I'm so sorry for bothering you." And then some are aggressive and they will not leave you alone. So the reason is that somewhere on the page, you clicked a button that said request information. Now, maybe what you thought you were looking for is not what you got. Maybe you just wanted information on the house or property taxes, but you weren't expecting that someone was going to reach out to you right away. Now, you may have also clicked on a button that says schedule a showing. So, either one of those is going to trigger you getting calls. Now, how does Zillow? So, how does Zillow and Realtor.com? What is the goal behind them? Struggling with the screen here. What is the goal of realtor.com and Zillow? Well, the goal of them is of course they're a platform where you can look for homes, and of course they want to be the best platform so that they attract more people. But they're not a not for profit. They are there to make money. And the way that they make money is that they gather your information and then they sell it to individuals, and that is how they make their money. So for example, one of the companies reaches out to me pretty often, and they're always asking me if I want to buy leads. And the way it works is that I would tell them what zip codes that I am interested in, and then they would make sure that they supply me with X number of leads a month based on how much money I'm going to pay them. Now, they actually sell your leads 3 times over. So in one of the zip codes, let's say I wanted 17 leads a month, they would sell that zip code for that many leads 3 different times. So that's why you're getting so many calls, is that because you're not just getting one person who's bought that information, you're getting 3 people who've bought that information. And so when you click on that button, it immediately goes out to the people that are paying for your information. And there's like, they call it speed to lead, however many people can get a hold of you, because they know that the first person that reaches you is the one that you are more likely to work with because they're giving the information, they're being helpful, they're going to take you to the showing. So they know that, hey, we got to answer this person right away. Now, if that person can't answer the phone right away and get a hold of you, they're going to keep trying. They don't know if another agent was already successful in reaching out to you. All they know is that they weren't. And so they're going to keep constantly calling you, texting, and emailing you until they get a hold of you or until you go on the do not unsubscribe or the do not call on there. So that is how they're making their money. When you're clicking on that, you are going to get bombarded. So if you have clicked on a lot of homes and every single one you are clicking get more information, every single click is a different time that your information is getting sold. And also the same when you go schedule an appointment. Now, sometimes they'll go and try to connect live with you, like they'll do the company will reach out to you directly and they'll do what they call a warm transfer, start talking to you, gathering the information, say, are you ready to speak to an agent? And then they'll do a transfer on there for you. Now, why is this important to know? Maybe you want someone to call you. Maybe you don't want to have to pick up the phone and call them, or you don't know who to call, and they're making that connection for you. Another thing that happens when somebody has bought your information is that many times those people do have a savvy follow-up system, and they're going to put you into a CRM, and you're going to get on what we call these drip campaigns where there's reminders to text, call, and email you constantly on there. And so yes, it could be bothersome for you. It's also bothersome for your real estate agent because you may be scheduling a showing and you think it's just the listing agent that is going to be doing the showing for you, but it's not. And now you're finding out that you have to sign a piece of paper. And with that piece of paper, you may be committing to a lot of agents and you don't want to commit to them because you don't know who they are. So my recommendation is if you are currently working with a real estate agent or a real estate professional and you're committed to them and they're going to do all the showings for you, all the information, do them a huge favor and don't click the button. Just if you have any questions on any listing, anything you see out there, call them, text them, email them, and say, hey, I'm looking at this property. Will you get me more information on this property? Or send them the link to the property. But if you click on anything, you are going to get constantly called, emailed, and text because that's what the platform is to sell your information to other people. Now, what do you do if you want information on a home, but you don't want to be bombarded with all of those text calls and emails? Well, there are a couple things. Like I said, if you've already got a representative, talk to that representative, let them know what you're looking at, and then they can get that information for you. Another thing that you can do is if you're savvy and you're good with the internet, you can literally Google the information. And so, how do you do that? So, let's say I wanted to move to a different state that I don't know anything of, and I see that there's a house there. I would first of all find out what county that state is in, and I would Google what county is, and then I would give it the city name, and then it would give me the county. And then I would go to the property appraiser's website for that county, and then I would look up the information for that home. It's going to give you things like bedrooms, bathrooms, square feet, property tax information, who the owner is, how many times it's been sold. It will also possibly give you information on if there were building permits. Some sites give you more, some sites give you less. The property appraiser's office will determine what they're going to share on their website or not. Now, that's another thing on there. Every platform is its own business. And you can go to one platform, like let's say realtor.com, and you see a set of information. But when you're looking at another platform like Zillow, the information's different. And you're wondering, like, well, which one is accurate? Well, they both may be accurate, but it's the update time on which they refresh their websites. So let's say they made a change to information in the description. One site may have it before the other site. And you may find properties on a website, but it won't be on the other website. So I don't get paid by realtor.com. I have no money that I receive from them, and I do not buy their leads. But I will tell you, as a real estate professional, when I have to look for homes that are outside of my area, I do use realtor.com. And the only reason I do is because their information does update every 15 minutes. So I know that if I'm looking for the most recent current information that has been changed on that listing, it's going to be in the next 15 minutes. So that is my favorite platform. If I had to go on what look aesthetically I like and what's the most pleasing and easy to read, it's going to be Zillow. So I got a love-hate relationship, like the look of Zillow, but I like the information on realtor.com. I check both. The other thing you're going to see that's different on both of them is the valuation of the property. You may see that there is a valuation on that property. You may not see that there's a valuation. It depends on the multiple listing service on there, but you're going to see different valuations. And that's because their algorithm is going to look at different information. So Um, a platform might say, all right, I'm going to look at all homes that sold in a 1 mile radius around this home. And based on the algorithm, it may have more or less information than another platform. And so you may see a house is on there for sale for the valuation is like $600,000. But then on another site, it's going to be like 625. And then you're thinking, well, which one is the right one? Well, I'll tell you, neither of them is the right one because none of those platforms have ever been inside that home. What they're doing is they're pulling information that is surrounding that home, but they've never been inside of it. They don't know what it looks like. They don't know of any updates to the property. They are going on and looking for information like have there been any permits that have been pulled for it? But you don't need a permit to change out the flooring in Florida. So you wouldn't know if they put new flooring in there. So let me give you a perfect example. I recently had a seller approach me and said, hey, I want to sell my home. There were not a lot of homes for sale in the neighborhood. So that makes coming up with the value a little bit difficult. What was also happening around this home was there is a new build developer that was going in and they were building economy homes. So you could get a 5 bedroom house with 3 bathrooms and a 3 car garage for like $500,000. And since the platform, Zillow and Realtor, took that information in a 1 mile radius around her house and said, okay, it seems that there's a lot of homes closing at this price and this price per square foot. So they valued her home at $600,000. And I'll tell you that home was not worth $600,000. I was like, this is not right. I know it's not right. You are not an economy house. You are a luxury house. And I know that what is going on right next to you, those houses over there, yes, they're worth every penny that they're being paid. But your house has features and benefits that you cannot find in those homes. So the valuation that came up on her house was actually $750,000. And she was scared. She was really, really scared because she thought, well, what if we overprice the house? What if it doesn't sell? What if everybody goes on to realtor.com Brazillo and they see that these other homes are selling? And I'm like, don't worry about it because anybody who knows how to do valuations is going to know. And I even backed it up. I don't normally do this, but I wanted to give her peace of mind. So I even backed it up by purchasing an appraisal for the property that actually came in at 760. So $10,000 more than what I came up with. We listed the property for sale on a Friday at $750,000. We got an offer listed on Friday, got the offer on Saturday, and we were under contract by Monday. Yes. So don't always believe what you see on any of the platforms. It could be low, it can be high because they've never been in there. You're going to need a professional that knows the market, knows the homes, knows all the ins and outs to do a proper valuation. So while it is a good starting point, I wouldn't bet my hat on it. So do not trust what you see on there, or at least take it with a grain of salt. Now, next thing is, I already told you, like, your information is sold. Don't think for a second that they are not selling your information. They absolutely are. Oh, another concern that people do not understand is when you call for more information or you are scheduling an appointment, you may be thinking to yourself that you are actually speaking with the listing agent, and that's not necessarily true. Now, remember, I told you that your information is sold. So the listing agent may be somebody who is in the system saying, yes, I want the calls from my listing to come to me, and I will pay you to get those buyers that are calling for this listing. But most agents don't do that. Most of the agents are not paying for any of those leads. So then you are going to get whoever is willing to pay for your information. And while you may be thinking you're speaking to the listing agent and they say things, you ask a question like, hey, can I go see this home tomorrow? They're like, well, you know what? I don't know. I need to speak with the owner. And you're thinking, but aren't you representing the owner? No, not necessarily. And they need to contact them to find out, is it under contract? Can they see it? What are the showing requirements? And then work it out with your schedule. So you're not always speaking with the listing agent. So if you want to know if you are, just ask. If you do click on the button and you get a call, just ask them and say, hey, are you the listing agent for this property? Hopefully they're going to answer you honestly and say, nope, I'm not. Or they might be. but it's very, very unlikely. So next is, how do you choose the right agent to guide you through your Florida move? All right, so you could just get whoever Zillow and Realtor.com sends you, and that's who you end up hiring. You could go with a family member or a friend, somebody who's already in the business that you know. You could go with somebody who is referred to you, and you trust that person's opinion, and then you end up using them. You could also do the research yourself, and you can find the person on your own. You could go to Facebook or Instagram or something like that, and you can type in there, does anybody have a referral for me? And I bet there are probably over 100 people that are going to start spamming you like, oh, this is my best friend, this is my sister, this is my brother. You'll start getting messages in your inbox. It is overwhelming. And it's almost like Zillow and Realtor, that everyone's coming at you. So here is my recommendation. Well, first of all, hire me. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not for everybody, so don't hire me until we've had a conversation. But this is what I think everybody should do. I think you need to find out, what are you looking for? So let's say, for example, you are looking for a house with a pool on 5 acres, right? You want an agent who has experience with houses with a pool on 5 acres, because that's a whole different negotiation than a condo or something in the city versus the suburbs. So, what I'm saying is that you want an agent that has experience with a specific type of property that you're looking for. And that means not just the area. So, if I am looking to move to Miami, I don't want somebody in Naples being my agent, because they know Naples, but they don't know Miami. And I want to know specifics about neighborhood, traffic times, all the logistics out there. And I want somebody who actually lives and works in that market, who, if I say, well, what's around the corner from here, they can tell me, not like, oh, I don't know, let me look it up on Google. Oh, it says that this is over here. No, no, no. I want to know if you know what's there. So you want somebody who's actually working in that market. All right. So now everyone's going to say to you, but I work in the market. I work in the market. Okay, well, next question is, how many homes have you sold? Well, let's say, oh, I sold 100 in the last year, because that could be 100 over 10 years, or that could be 100 and they have a partner. So your answers are going to be as good as your questions. So if your question is, all right, well, how many homes have you sold in the last year? Then you can say, all right, well, if you've sold 100 homes in the last year, that's a good indicator. And you've sold a lot of them were the pool homes that were on 5 acres. That is a great indicator. Also, the price point is very important. There is a whole different conversation on a $300,000 home versus an $800,000 home and a $2 million home. The inspection processes, the timelines, everything is different. So you want to make sure that they have experience also in your price point. Another thing is do they have experience in your loan product? So there are conventional, VA, FHA, they all have their own rules and their own little nuances. Those are all fantastic, but there are also bank statement loans, hard money loans, portfolio loans. So if you are working with somebody who has a loan product that you've never worked with and you're not familiar with, I would want someone who understands my loan product. So that person is not going to be somebody who is just like, oh, I've sold houses. Let's go back. How many? Have you done them by yourself? Are you familiar with the price point, the loan product, the area, the kind of house, the property type? And I want proof. Hey, the great thing is let's go back to realtor.com and Zillow. You can find that agent on either of the two platforms or both. And both of them are going to keep a history of the sales, provided that they're in the multiple listing service or they're labeled as a realtor. Then you will be able to you'll be able to find that information on there, and it will have on there all the homes that they've sold. They'll be mapped out on the map and show you the areas that they've been working in. And it will also show you how many homes they have actively listed that are currently active right now. And it will also show you how many that closed. And then on the ones that closed, you can go and see how much the house was. And you can also find out when it was. So you can absolutely double check that information. Now, it is a little bit harder if that person's working on a team. That information may go underneath the team name. So you may see that, wow, my gosh, this person has 100 listings on here and they must be really, really amazing, but find out that they're part of a team and they only did one transaction. So it's going to be a little harder to see in there. But if they're not on a team, then you are going to see. Um, Chris, thank you. Yeah, as an agent, how would you make someone feel comfortable if they ask the question, how many homes have you sold? Oh, as a new agent. So that's part of what I'm asking right now is if they've got experience, that's fantastic. Okay. Now I understand definitely what Chris is saying because as a new agent, you're wondering, all right, well, how do you make someone feel comfortable if you haven't got the history behind you yet? I do say for my new agents, you want to then talk about your team and your brokerage. Now, you may not be part of a team yet, but when you're an agent, you are working underneath a brokerage that has experience or members inside of the office that have experience. So then you could say, hey, I am on this team, or this is what my brokerage does, and they are going to be walking me through. I'm not going to be alone. I'm going to be working with my partner, and my partner has done, and then you can bring up their site on realtor.com or Zillow, and then you can see what they're doing. So then you'll say, okay, you know what? I'm working with my newer agent friend over here or my family member, but they're also working with this agent, and this agent has a lot of experience. Now, we see this a lot in commercial, especially when we're bringing somebody up through commercial and they don't have a lot of experience. Is what we'll do is we'll have them partner with somebody. So you'll see that there's not a lot of information out there because they don't have any. But when they partner with somebody and you see on their side, there's hundreds, if not thousands of closings, then you know that they do have a support network with them. Now, that's not to say that new agents are not good agents. New agents could be good agents. They also could be bad agents. But old agents or older agents can also be bad agents. They may have not sold anything in a very, very long time, or they say this, back when I was doing it was, well, listen, it's changed. Get over it. It's not back then. It's now, it's changed. So you want to make sure that they're doing business recently in your area with your product type. They have experience or they are partnered with somebody who has experience to help them through the sale. Um, Recently, I was looking that property that I was telling you about. We did get a few offers on it, and this is why you want to work with somebody who has experience in what I'm telling you is that with the multiple offers that we received, I'm working for the seller. And it was in their best interest to take the strongest offer. And the strongest offer wasn't always the dollar amount because the dollar amount doesn't matter if you can't get to the closing table. So, what I was looking for when the offer came over was the structure of the offer, but I also did my research on every single agent that made an offer. I wanted to know that that agent had experience, exactly what I'm telling you. And one of the agents hadn't sold a house over 450,000, and this is a $750,000 home. The inspections are different, the timelines are different, the loan is different, the personalities are different, and I was like, okay, is this person going to have the skill set to close a $750,000 deal? Because you can't treat this like a $400,000 or a $300,000 deal. And you can't treat this like a mobile home or a condo, because if you try to treat it like that, the deal is going to fall apart and it's not going to be good for anybody. So, um, I had people who had experience in the price point, but they only did 3 deals in the last year. And I was like, okay, are they even up to speed on the rules? Are they even motivated? Is this something that they take seriously? So good real estate agents are going to vet and look at the agent that's bringing the offer. So your agent that you are hiring needs to be somebody, like I said, with that skill set that is going to be able to show you in the best light as possible and has just a lot of product knowledge. And yes, you can absolutely research that on realtor.com and Zillow. And you can also just do like, you could just Google them and find out like what kind of information is out there and what kind of person they are in general. So, um, In realtor.com and Zillow, you will be able to see things on there like when it was listed, when the price reduction was, when it came on and off the market. And let's talk about that just a little bit because you may see a property has come on and off the market or it's been listed for like over a year. And let's use 500,000 because it's a nice round number. So you got a $500,000 listing, it's been listed over a year. You're coming in, you see both platforms are telling you different numbers and you think, okay, you know what? I'm going to go in and I'm going to offer $300,000. It's not going to happen. I mean, first of all, they've already got $300,000 offers all day long because investors are hitting them up all the time. And put yourself in their shoes. Why would you go from 500 to 300,000 when you can do a systematic price reduction and you can go 500 and then 475, 465, 435, and you can just make these changes downward. And at some point before 300,000, you're going to get an offer if you even want to go that far. Now, when you're looking at realtor.com and Zillow, you may see what they bought the house for, and you say, well, wait a second. They only bought that house for $200,000. Why am I going to let them make a profit of 300,000? You don't know what they did to that house. Maybe they did buy it for $200,000, but they put in flooring and they put in the paint. They did all the updates to that property that cost money. And so you don't know that. And you may see it in the photos. And then you're saying, well, you know what? I see that they did those improvements, but 400's it. That's all I'm going to give them for it. You don't have to give any more and they don't have to sell it. But it goes both ways. We don't get to tell them what kind of profit they do or do not get to make on their home. But at the same time, you are not going to ever be responsible for paying for bad decisions or debt. Because remember that time where houses were selling for $300,000, but the mortgage balance on it was for 500,000. And we were saying, that is your problem. That is not my problem. You made a bad decision or the times have changed. I'm not going to take on buying this house and paying off your credit cards, your mortgage, your car, your student loans, your divorce decree. I'm not taking on any of that. But make the number be whatever is smart for you, that works for you, that's within your budget, but understand the seller doesn't have to accept it, just like you don't have to offer the number that they have out there. You get to come up with your own. So use Zillow's information and realtor.com information as a tool and a starting point, but don't put so much stock into it that you're going to die on that cross because the information is not always accurate there. But more importantly, if you do not want to be bombarded with all the text calls and emails from many, many realtors, stop hitting the button that says get more information and schedule a call. I'm telling you, your real estate agent will truly, truly appreciate it. And I will just tell you on a side note, I had a client of mine who was very impatient. He was like itching to buy a house so bad. And it was very difficult for me to keep him contained and just grounded. And I was trying to tell him, I'm working as fast as I can. You're sending me like 10 listings every minute, and I'm trying to do my research. And he spanned like a 3-hour radius because he was just trying to buy something. And what he was doing was he was just blowing up his phone with people just constantly calling him because I could not get the information to him fast enough. And so he was clicking the button saying, I want more information. And then it came where he said, hey, I have a showing to see that property today at 3. Now, remember, I told you that you're not talking to the listing agent. And I was trying to get a hold of the listing agent to book an appointment. And the listing agent hadn't called me back. And I said, how did you get to see the property at 3 when I can't even reach the agent? And so he says, oh, I just clicked make an appointment and they agreed to it. Well, yeah, you can agree to that, but doesn't mean somebody's going to actually show up. The person ended up calling and saying, hey, we can't see it at that time. We can see it another time. But that was part of the, hey, we got you because your information was sold and they were going to push them to another day. And at that point, I was like, look, if you can't calm down, we can't work together. Like, I'm working as fast as I can. I have other clients and you're just a little on the crazy bus. They understood because they said, "Oh my gosh, I am getting hundreds of phone calls a day, hundreds of phone calls." I was like, and he goes, "How do you stop it?" And I'm like, "Well, first of all, you don't. They're going to have to like die down over 30 days, and you deserve what you got." So we have a great sense of humor together, and we're able to work together. And the justice of this was he became a real estate agent, and so when the same thing happened to him, it was completely funny. But you're not going to stop the calls immediately. They have your information. They don't know that you've talked to somebody else. They want to make sure that they're going to get their money's worth out of buying that lead. So they're either going to talk to you and hear that you're working with somebody, or you're going to put them on the do not call list, put yourself on the do not call list, or you're going to unsubscribe, and it is going to take some time. And yes, some of them are more aggressive than others. Some of them are nicer, not as nice as others, but it is going to take some time. And the best way to not ever have that happen is just don't click that button unless that's who you want for your real estate agent. So I don't see any comments. But again, to be fair, I didn't ask for any comments. So if you do have any questions, let me know. If not, then I think hopefully I've answered all of your questions regarding, why do you keep getting blown up when you are on those platforms and how to stop yourself. All right, that sounds great. If you do have any questions and you want to talk about it, maybe you want to talk about it off camera, you can text me, you can DM me, you can call me. Any of those things are absolutely fine. I said, I'd love to work with you, but not until we've actually had a conversation and we make sure that we are a good fit together and that it's going to be a good relationship. But outside of that, vet everybody and make sure that it is the right fit for you and they have the experience because that's what you deserve. All right. Thanks, guys. I hope you have a good day.